Hi, welcome to Arty Crafty Alchemy. Today I am making a project using the July Hedgehog Holo box. I'm the Arty Crafty Alchemist. Let's create some magic. Okay, so I have already chosen these 4 colours. I'm going to layer these up to make some water. I'll probably use our little cutie in the ring. I just have the ink there. I'm going to use the rickrack die to make the water. So I think that's all I need from the box. So as usual, I'm winging it a little bit. I haven't decided which way this card's going to go. So what I'm going to do is grab the die out and I'm just going to cut a bunch of these rickracks and I'll be back. I'm back with my die cuts. Firstly, I wanted to show you, I just put 2 little bits of post-it on 2 edges to hold the papers together. You're left with these little pieces once you've cut them out. They'll be great to use on something else. You've got this skinny little piece that you can trim off and use for another card. You've got this bottom piece that you can just adhere some glue behind and stick down on either side for another card. So I'm going to keep those bits. I cut 2 of each colour. I'm just taking one of my Kmart special card bases. 25 card bases and envelopes for $3. I'm just going to layer these up a little. Might grab some repositionable tape. So this is this to that American Crafts repositionable tape. I'm just adding a bit onto each of these pieces. Do you know, I might actually chop them all up. They don't all have to be the same size. If they're different, that's probably going to be a good thing. Okay, so we have a bunch of pieces and they're all cut up. First of all, I am going to grab some post-it tape. I'm going to grab Salty Ocean and Antique Linen. I'm going to grab 2 makeup brushes because I don't have blending brushes. And we'll start with our Antique Linen. And I'm just going to start adding in some colour. I'm just making sure to bring it up to under where I want the waves to go. Might be too pale for the antique linen, so I'm just going to grab a blending foam. So I'm just going to add a little bit more colour in with this. I want it to be a little stronger. I'm just going to build a sky out. Now if you didn't want to do this straight on your card, you could do it on a panel and then add it later and cut it down to whatever size you wanted. Again, I'm bringing this down past where I want it to go. Just going to make a few darker spots. Got a small scrap of paper towel here that I'm just going to wad up some water with it, and then I'm going to clean off some of the colour. Have some clouds. So I'm just tapping that down. I'll pick up some more water. If you press and hold it, it picks up the colour a bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Clouds are not perfect anyway. So now I have my sky done. I'm just going to clean off all the distress ink. I am going to keep my card tape down just because it will be easier for the next step. Generally, in your foreground, you end up with a water break, using the this to that glue to work out where I want things. Doesn't matter if things hang off the edge, we can trim it down later. Add some adhesive to the back and start building up our layers. Now that I've chopped up all my pieces, I'm going to start from where I want the top to be. So I'm just randomly going to layer these up and I'll come back when I'm done. I have sort of worked out where I wanted everything to go. This is kind of when I wish I had some of the press and seal stuff, but we can't really get it in Australia, and the one time I did see it, it was already sold out. Now I'm going to take my glue, and I've just got some Helmar glue in this little bottle. Okay, the little white nose you can see is the cat saying hello. Now it's been a couple of days since I started this. A lot's gone on. We got 250 subs and now we're speeding past 350. So that's pretty exciting. I didn't expect it to happen so fast. So I am just going to lift up the edges of each of these and glue them back down. And I forgot actually that before I do that, I want to take these 2 pieces apart And I'm going to take this little bit here and I'm going to stick this across my horizon line. So what I might do is trim that there, work out where I had that going to. Yep, that's about there, and that just shows me that everything is lopsided. So what I'm going to do is pull these off. So this is where I go, oops, that didn't work out. And I'm actually going to start by gluing this piece across. So we want to try and make it straight. Now it doesn't have to be perfectly straight, just a little bit straighter than what I had it before would be good. So then I'm just going to trim off these two side bits and then start building again. Okay, excuse the mess down here. That's from my mistake. I've decided to do this a bit different now. And so we're just going to butt things up against it for the first row. Otherwise there's going to be too much gap. And then I'm just going to see what it would look like layered a little. As I said, sorry for the mess. I've changed my mind on how I want to do these. I'm going to glue that first line down. So now we have a horizon line and our first layer of stuff. And then I'm just going to build up some layers by overlapping them a little, and I'll stick one piece on and go from there. So I'm trying not to leave any white and to stagger the pieces so that we have different colours in different spots. So I'm going to do that all the way to the end. I'll speed up the footage so you don't have to sit through it all. But I'm going to glue all these down. Now that I've got the basic premise going, it shouldn't take too long to get it all done. So I just ran off to cut another section of this because I'd run out, and now I'm just adding my last bits of this to the card. I was going to stagger the bottom a little bit, but we've ended up with a pretty straight bottom. Now I've done this the hard way because for some reason that's how I roll. I always tend to do things the hard way. You could just as easily do this by just layering up the pieces like that and having different colours on each rose. I've just made mine all different colours to look like water, and I think I will end up adding a little bit extra water so we have some water coming down the beach. Now I will take an eraser and clean that off later. That is mostly just glue, and I'm trying not to have too much around my desk because I have noticed that my camera doesn't like to focus if there is too much on the desk. That's our water done. I'm going to set that aside for a minute. I have my Sunny Studio Coastal Cuties and my stamp platform. I'm going to grab a piece of Nina from my box and I'm going to stamp both cuties. I'm not sure which one I'm using this second. Then I'm just taking my Memento. This time I'm using a little spot because they're just little stamps and I thought that would be easier. I'll go again to get nice crisp lines. They look good. To start off with for my cuties, I'm going to colour their swimmers in blue. I'm just laying down a base of B66. And then I'm just going to add a tiny amount of B69. Then I'm going to blend that out again with the B66. And I'll give that a minute and I'll go back over it with the B66. And again for her hat, I'm just going to take the B66, drop in a small amount of the B69, work it across a bit with the B66. Now for her hat I am taking E31 and E33, so I'm just going to fill her hat in and then take the E33 to add in some shading. For the bucket I am going to add a pop of colour with some R35 and R46. Blend them all back together with the R35. I was going to take the E20's colours for her hair, but I don't actually have the E27. I'm taking E59, E57 and E55. I'm laying down a base of the E55. I'm just going to turn her around and add in some tiny flicks of the E59, adding more under the hat, and then just working a few down a little. Next I'm taking the E57 and just working over the top of that and bringing it down a little more. And I better do this little bit under here. And then going in and blending them all together. And next we'll do her skin. I'm laying down a base of E00. I'm not too worried about her mouth. I'll go over that in a minute. Then I'm going in with my darkest, which is E00. Blending that out with my medium, which is E000, and extending those lines just a little. And blending everything together with the 000. I'm going to add some little cheeks to her just with some R11. Move the edges a little bit with the 000, and that's one of our cuties done. I'm going around her goggles with the B66. Just adding a tiny amount of the dark in there. Then I'm going to do her little hair bobbles with the B66 as well. And next up I'm going to colour her hair. Laying down E55 first again. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm not 100% sure where my camera cut off, but I have added her hair and I used some BG11 just to make it look like there was some glass or plastic in her goggles. So now I'm going to add that pop of red again, and I'm going to colour her floaty in with R35 and R46. Adding in some red shading and leaving a small highlight where I think the light would be hitting her. And for her I'm just going to drop in a little bit of red for her tongue, and I'm taking some C9 for her shadow in her mouth. Now I just need to colour her skin again. I am starting with the lightest, which is the E000, and I'll add in some of the dark, which is the E00. A little line of it to the bottom of her arms. Then I'm just going to extend out that dark colour and then just blend it all back together with my light. And again I'm going to add some little cheeks in just with my R11, and they are done. So now I am going to fussy cut these out. Okay, so I've got my cuties cut out. She was a bit harder to cut out than she was. And I'm just going to grab my card and see... Oh, I forgot to do her mouth. So let's just grab the R46 again and I'll fill in her little mouth. Now I want to add a little bit of interest into the sand, so I'm just going to take some of these lighter Copics and add some little spots, totally random. Some are bigger to give the sand a different look, so it's not just flat. Those two colours look the same. Bigger spots, some smaller spots. Going to grab a darker colour just to give some little darker spots. I'm using my hand as a rest just so I can just get some small spots. I have seen a photo that someone's used the glitter that came in the box for sand. That's a pretty cool idea. I didn't want to copy, so I drew my own thing. Tried not to look at too many people's pictures yet because I want to make my own stuff, not incorporate other people's things into my card. Okay, that gives it a bit more interest. Now we have our cutie. Now, if you see here, with this one, I've cut out the two little bits under her arms so that the colours behind show through. But with this one, I've left her pale. So what I'm going to do is just smoosh a tiny corner of my antique linen oxide, and I've got a slightly damp brush. And I'm just going to drop some of that colour in there. And now she'll blend in without having that stark whiteness, and we need to do between the legs too. And I didn't pick a really good brush. This brush actually must have something stuck in the bristles, so I'll have to give that a clean later. But now I can stick her on there and she blends in. I'm going to have to go through my other things and see what I can find to stamp onto the beach because it's a little bit plain. If I had gone the other way, of course, there would be less space, but ended up turning it this way. I don't know why. I went into my stash and I have these clear expressions by Hampton Art, and I'm going to use the little starfish and the Make a Splash sentiment. I went to have a look in my stamps and I don't actually have a whole lot of beach themed ones. I wish I had an itty bitty shell, but an itty bitty starfish will work just fine. So I'm just going to pick them up. I'm going to make sure this is right in the corner in case it does lift up again. And I'm grabbing the LDRS black because I really like the way that stamps. But I'm also grabbing the Memento black for the starfish. I didn't make a very good impression with that one, so I'm going to do that one again. I'm filming on an ottoman, so it's squishy in the middle, so sometimes when I push down I don't get a good impression. I'm going to do that one more time, especially on that S. That looks good. I'll remove that and I will do the starfish one more time. I'm just going to have a quick look with our girls and see if I want to add any more of them. I just might add a random one there. Again, stamping with Memento so I can colour these a little. Looks good. And then I might move this over and stamp one coming off the page over here. There we go. So I'm just going to take the E55 and add some colour to this one. And then I'm going to take the E57 to add some dark into those little bits. Now, my battery just went flat, so we're doing really well here. I'm not sure where that got out. But I'm just going to add some little dark spots in that. And then I'm going to take the E31 for this one right on the edge over here. And I'm going to use the E55 as the dark. So now we have some starfish, and I just decided that I also wanted to grab these little splashes, tiny little splashes, and I'm going to grab a stamp block and the hybrid ink, and I'm going to add some splashes around the word splash. And then I'm just going to grab this itty bitty one and add a couple more. There we go. Again, I'm going to take the BG11 and just add some into these little splashes. I'm going to get them put straight away because I will lose them. Okay, so next up we need to put our cuties on. I'm going to use foam tape for one, and for this one I'm going to use the double-sided tape so that she sticks flat. I may need to glue her down just depending if this holds her enough. So I am going to add her up there. I might even have a little bit of a wave coming over her. And then we'll add our second cutie. I'm just going to stick a big square on her head and a little bit on her legs. I'm going to stick her there, and I'm just going to grab my Copics, and I've grabbed C7, C5 and C3. I'm not sure what colours I want just yet. I think I'll start with the C5 and see if that is dark enough to give a little shadow, and I think that's going to be plenty dark enough, if not a little too dark. I'm going to come back into that with my C1 to blend that out a little bit more. My shadows are way too big, but it's all a learning curve. So there we have our finished Coastal Cuties card from the Hedgehog Hollow July box. So I hope you enjoyed my card. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe, and if you want to know when a new video comes up, please hit the bell button so you're notified when I have a new video out, which is usually Wednesdays and Saturdays. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.